of New Jersey dated 1975. Notice of this meeting was advertised in the local source and/or the Star Ledger, the newspapers of record. A notice has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building adjacent to the municipal clerk's office. Roll call.
Mr. Wiley. Here. Ms. Martins.
Here.
Mr. Bentevegan is absent. Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. McNeil is absent. Ms. Scott is absent. Ms. Ricketts.
Here.
And Mr. Graves. Present. And Mr. Champion.
Here. There being a quorum present, this meeting is now declared open. At this time, are there any communications?
There are no communications, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none. Our only case this evening will be calendar number 3443, Trademark Signs, LLC, located at 2255 Springfield Avenue, Block 4914, Lot 10.03, for Burlington signage. Counselor, would you like to begin?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, professionals, and staff. My name is Peter Licata of the law firm of Sonnenblick, Mayer & Licata of Freehold, New Jersey, on behalf of the applicant. We're requesting from you bulk variance relief for a Burlington store sign to replace the Best Buy sign that was previously on the facade of this building and which is up on the screen presently. I have two brief witnesses I'd like to present. I have Nicholas Churchman, who is an installer with Trademark Signs, who would briefly describe the proposed replacement sign. And we have James Higgins, our professional planner, who would testify as to the positive and negative criteria underlying our bulk relief request. Thank you. If I may then, I would call Nicholas Churchman to be sworn in.
Good evening. This is Rob Pansul, the board attorney. Can I ask the witness to raise your right hand and swear or affirm that the testimony provided this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I swear it's the truth,
And you
the whole truth.
state, just spell your name for the record and your business affiliation.
Nicholas Churchman, NICHOLASCHURCHMAN. I am an installer for Trademark Signs.
Thank you.
Nicholas, are you familiar with the sign that's been submitted to the board in the application package?
Yes,
And you're also familiar with the prior Best Buy sign that was on the building?
yes,
And is that an accurate depiction of the previous Best Buy sign?
yes.
And the sign that's being proposed, would you say it's of equal or somewhat lesser prominence visually than the
I would
Best Buy
say
sign?
somewhat less.
But yet, in your opinion, would it be large enough to allow the motoring public to identify the building from a distance
Yeah,
and be in keeping with the scale of other signage generally on site?
yes.
Thank you, Nicholas. Mr. Chairman, I would make my witness available for questions.
Are there any board members that would like to question the testimony that Mr. Churchman has given? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to question the testimony Mr. Churchman has provided? Hearing none. Next witness.
Thank you. I'll call James Higgins, our professional planner.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Higgins. Could I ask you to swear or affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is the truth and the whole truth?
I will.
And for the record, state and spell your name with your affiliation.
James W. Higgins, Higgins. I am a licensed planner in the state of New Jersey. I have my office at 14 Tilton Drive, Ocean, New Jersey. I've been licensed for 45 years. My license is current. And in fact, I was accepted as an expert in planning by one of the boards in Union Township about 30 years ago. I've been doing this for 45 years. I don't remember the application, but I do know that I was in Union Township in an older municipal building at that time.
Would you like to give us your credentials?
Sure. I've been licensed for 45 years. I've testified before boards throughout the state, over 200 boards. I've testified as an expert in planning before at least 5 superior courts in the state.
The board will accept Mr. Higgins.
Thank you.
Credentials.
Thank you.
Briefly, Jim, could you tell the board what you reviewed in preparation for your testimony tonight and what observations you made?
Sure. I reviewed the application, I reviewed the ordinance, I looked at the site, I looked at surrounding sites, and I also reviewed the reports by the board's professionals, including the board's engineer and planner, and also looked at the zoning officer's denial of the application for the construction of the sign.
Thank you. And based on those observations, could you describe the extent of the variance relief that we're seeking?
Yes, well, the ordinance permits, and there's a discrepancy between your zoning officer and the board's engineer planner, a height of either 4 feet according to the zoning officer or 5 feet according to the board's planner. But the proposed sign is a little over 9 feet, the front sign is a little over 9 feet in height, and it's 162 square feet in area. The ordinance permits a maximum square footage of 77 square feet. There's a second sign in the rear of the building. That sign is 4 feet 1/2 inch high. So if the 4 foot is the standard, it requires a variance for that additional 1/2 inch in the height, but it's 25 square feet in area so that it does meet the ordinance requirement for area. When I looked at the area, I looked at the Best Buy pictures, and actually Best Buy had 3 signs according to your ordinance in front of the building. There's the one Best Buy with the logo next to it that's on the blue background, but then when you read your ordinance, anything that's intended to draw attention to the building and to the site is considered to be a sign, and there are 2 vertical elements. You can see one on the picture that's on the display that's a blue column with yellow on the top, and there's a second one on the other side of the Best Buy store. So those technically are signs according to your ordinance. They've been eliminated, the blue background has been eliminated, and the applicant is proposing a sign that's consistent in appearance with the other signs in the shopping center, and eliminating the blue background and having a much more attractive facade to the building. So when I look at this, first of all, I think there are benefits in terms of public safety, in terms of the fact that the sign is now large enough to be viewed. A permitted sign is very small. It looks out of character with the other signage on the building, and it is a little bit more difficult to see for a motorist that's coming into that site. And it's a fairly difficult entrance to the site. You come in, and there's several turns you have to make. So having the larger sign and make it more visible, I think, is definitely a safer situation. In addition, aesthetically, I think it does advance the purpose of the municipal land use law with regard to providing for a desirable visual environment in terms of the scale of the sign, in terms of the improvements to the building overall, and the appearance of the building. So when I look at all of that, I think that there are definitely positive reasons for the granting of the variance, and I don't see any substantial negative impact. Again, the proposed sign, I think, is much more in character with the signage that's on the building for the other uses on the building, and a conforming sign actually would look much smaller and would look out of character. So I don't think there's any substantial detriment that's being caused by the granting of the variance. So when I look, I think the benefits substantially outweigh the detriments.
Thank you, Jim. My witness is available for questions.
Just for the record, Mr. Chairman and council board members, I did mark A1, the application as it was submitted. I marked A2, the photo package that was a part of that. I guess we're looking at some of that here,
Yes.
of area signs and existing conditions. And I marked A3, the signage proposal, as it were, for Burlington. Just confirm, if you could, Mr. Higgins, the signage proposal that you reviewed, and it's part of that, I just made part of the record, that is it your understanding that that's a typical Burlington coat, like national brand type of existing sign?
Yes, it is. My office has done other Burlington sign variance applications. One, in fact, was in Union on Route 22.
Yes, I think that was
yes.
before this board
Yeah,
as
that
well,
was
as a
before, in
matter of fact.
2020, my daughter Allison, who's also a licensed planner, actually did the testimony on that.
So it is a prototype?
It's a
for-
prototype, yes it
Okay.
is.
Thank you.
And in the event there's a variance necessary for the sign at the rear of the building, I think if 4 feet is the standard and it's 4 feet 1/2 inch, I think that is a de minimis situation. Nobody could tell that that sign exceeded 4 feet, even if you stood right next to it.
And just for the benefit of the site plan aspect of the application, you don't have any adjustments to the structure itself, no impact to the parking layout, anything else. This is limited to the signage that you've testified.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Are there any board members that would like to question the testimony Mr. Higgins has given? Hearing none, are there any members of the public that would like to question the testimony Mr. Higgins has provided?
I did, just for the record, Mr. Chairman, it's not a direct communication because it wasn't circulated to the board. I did talk with counsel because he got a copy of an email that came to Mr. Manguso as the construction code official from the property owner at the 22 Arcadia Place. So she had raised some concerns about traffic safety. I don't think it's appropriate to not have the attorney be able to cross-examine that witness, but she was concerned about traffic safety. I think as the lawyer for the board, I would suggest that the testimony we heard tonight really focuses on the benefits to traffic safety due to the size and change of the signage. So I think that would be enough to deliberate, but I did want to make you aware of it since it did come to Mr. Manguso and counsel. So I raise it, but unless they're here in public tonight, they could ask questions and have the attorney be able to cross-examine them.
Thank you, Mr. Pansula. Again, I'll ask, are there any board members that would like to question Mr. Higgins' testimony? Are there any members of the public that would like to question his testimony? Do you want to question his testimony? Because comments will be heard later.
Yeah, my name is Floyd Patterson. I live at 168 Waldorf Place. Do you have a schematic or computer running of what it's going to look like when it's done? I'd like
Yes,
to
there
see
is.
that.
We actually have both on computer and a hard copy, which is the same file. I'd be happy to give you this paper copy and try and put it up on the screen.
You put it on the screen, sir?
I'll try.
Chairman, thank you. That's the question I have, sir. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the one I marked A3, I believe, for the record, so that is part of the materials before the board.
Sir, that's an image of what's proposed. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this application? Hearing none, Counselor, would you like to sum up?
Just briefly, thank you. Based on the testimony that's been provided for traffic safety and aesthetic concerns, we would request your consideration of that evidence and request that you authorize a positive resolution, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I believe we can conference this. Mr. Wiley, would you like to begin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Looking at the sign based on the testimony, I don't see where there's any detriment with this project. I think the positives outweigh all the negatives, and I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Graves?
I see no negative impact on the community. It's similar in size to the one by the previous tenant, so I would be supporting the application.
Ms. Martins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The size of the sign definitely syncs with the other signs that are in the complex as well, so I'm going to have to, yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Since this is a prototype and a larger sign is actually safer for visibility for motorists, and I see no detriment to this sign, I will be voting yes.
And Ms. Ricketts?
I too agree with my colleagues that this sign does not provide or give any type of detriment, so I also will be voting yes.
As for myself, I feel the variance and the sign request that will not have a negative impact on the property or neighboring property owners. So I too will vote yes for this application. At this time, may I have a motion and a second to grant the application?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I move the board grant this variance applicable to this application, that council is directed to prepare a resolution consistent with the board's decision.
Second the motion.
Roll call?
Mr. Wiley,
Yes.
Ms. Martins,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Ricketts,
Yes.
and Mr. Champy.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
They'll give you a date.
The resolution beyond December 18th, the regular meeting night of the board, we'll actually be meeting in that side room, because I think we don't have access to the full board, but we'll do resolutions that night. So December 18th, I'll send you a copy beforehand.
Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Same to you. Can I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, there being no further business coming before the board this evening, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?